Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Howdy, y'all. Actually, I should say all y'all, because this is a global network, the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And I'm Red LAUGHLin, and we're on Talking Heads. We can also be found on Amazon Fire, E360 TV, Zizzle, YouTube, a lot of locations. I believe there's 55 shows that are available on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And this is just one of them. I do a presentation generally somewhere between 4 and 8 weeks. Right now, we're just the very beginning of the heart of health. And on the heart of health, I'm looking at, initially it was going to be primarily the heart. But as I started doing some research, I'm thinking to myself, okay, we have emotional health, we have gut health, and we have heart health. Those are the three big ones that we really need to concentrate on. But even if we're concentrating on some of them, other things can happen in life. And when I look at life, well, aging is one of them. And so let's go ahead and get the slide started here. Get that thing going. There we go. Disclaimer, I'm a researcher, never been in the medical field nor the pharmaceutical field. I fell in love with chemistry many, many years ago, back in high school, long before I met my wife, now at 56 years. I have 5 academic degrees. I got 7 professional certifications. And nowadays, as part of my researching, I look at the human body and I'll look at what happens at the cellular level, chemically speaking. What causes things to happen? If you treat a cause, you have a decent shot at fixing something. But if you're treating symptoms, you're always going to be treating symptoms because you're not treating the cause. And the real root cause of the problem can continue to emanate, and you don't know what's going to happen down the road. And as always, all of my programs in this venue are for education and awareness. So let's bump up here. A few years ago, I wrote a book called Longevity Secrets for Healthy Aging, How to Live to 100 Years of Age with the Body of a Healthy 50-year-old and the Mind of a 25-year-old. And I talked about 2 primary causes of aging. To me, at that point in time, were the 2. Human growth hormone that decreases over time, and the telomere length that shortens, but it's not as simple as the word short sounds. But there's some other ones that we talked about last week, and I'm going to go into detail on each of these today. So genomic instability, cellular senescence, autophagy, deregulated nutrient sensing, stem cell dysfunction, mitochondrial dysfunction, and chronic inflammation. So let's go ahead and start out. Human growth hormone, HGH, somewhat familiar to many people, but as we get older, we make less and less. So as a toddler, I may be making, let's say, 2,000 milligrams a day, but as a teenager, I may be down to 1,000 a day. And I get to age 70, it may be down to 100 a day. But way back when I'm growing, that human growth hormone is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. It's the one that's in charge of your growth to make sure that your bones are developing, your organs are developing, your whole body is going, everything is happening properly. So as we get older, we start having a problem because our body doesn't make as much. And so as such, we kind of open the door, at least a crack, maybe a little bit more, for age-related diseases and other things, because that one particular hormone is just not as prevalent as it used to be. However, we can increase it pretty easily. Fasting, by far, 24-hour fasting is by far the easiest way to increase human growth hormone. There are some other ones, nutritional balance, making sure you get all of the nutrients you need on a daily basis. Exercise, but it's a specific kind of exercise, what they call high-intensity interval training. In other words, you're maxing out your heart rate for brief periods of time. Quality sleep, stress reduction, all of these things I just talked about are your lifestyle. And it's amazing how many things they affect. If you're not getting quality sleep, you're not getting exercise. I'm not talking about HIIT exercise. I'm talking about exercise in general. If you're not using stress, if you're not getting balanced nutrition, a lot of things from a health perspective can happen. If you're obese, if you're taking in a lot of trans fats, if you're not watching what you're eating so toxins get into your body or through your personal care products, a lot of issues there that cause HGH to decrease. High insulin levels, inflammation, hormone imbalance, lots of things there affect our HGH. So if I'm looking at wanting to do one thing well, try adopting some kind of fasting program. Dr. Walter Mondo, can't remember the last name, Walter, anyway, he's with the University of California, and he came up with a program for a 3-day fast and a 5-day fast. And the 3-day fast, because it causes the body to get rid of everything, we're going to talk about autophagy in a moment, basically resets your immune system right back to zero, and you're back in the ball game again, all through fasting. He has a 5-day fast that resets the pancreas, where you can have a really decent shot at overcoming type 2 and even in some cases type 1 diabetes. But Walter Longo, Longo, I would definitely, if you have problems in those areas, give him a check out, because there's some things in there you can do. So let me go ahead and move to the next primary one that I talked about, telomere length. At the bottom of our DNA, we have a thing called a telomere. If you look at a typical shoelace, at the end there's a plastic caplet at the end. That plastic caplet keeps the shoelace from unraveling. Well, in a sense, the telomere does the same thing. The DNA will replicate over a period of time, which means that this one DNA now becomes 2 DNA. Everything that's in the first one is in the second one. At least that's the master plan. There's things that can't happen. But as that cell replicates, a little bit of that plastic wears off. If I think of it as a roll of pennies, you get 50 pennies in a roll. And so if I have 50 replications of that cell, and each time I only lose a penny, then that means I get 50 replications out of the life of that cell. But if I have things that I'm doing, I'm not getting decent sleep, I have too many toxins, I'm not taking care of stress, I'm overweight, I'm depressed, my diet is not worth talking about. There are a lot of things that I can do. So instead of losing 1 penny every time a cell replicates, maybe I'm losing 2 or 3 or 4 pennies. So in other words, the telomere is going to shorten by a little bit or by a lot. And that determines, you want it to be as little as possible. If you're doing a lot each time, then instead of getting 50 replications per that cell, which you would normally get in a lifetime, then maybe you're only getting 40 or 30. And so that does have a difference on how long your life is. So if I can reduce the rate of shortening by different things. Now here, exercise is not the same thing as high interval intensity training. We're talking about, walking, we're talking about strength training, balance, a lot of things that are typically thought of as exercise, but it's exercise on nearly a daily basis. I think most of the research says 120, 150 minutes a week. So if you do 5 days, is 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. That's a mile or two walking. It's not a whole lot, but it's out there in sunshine, fresh air. Anyway, those are things you can do to talk about your telomere length, keeping it within a low range of the rate of change. Let's talk about some other things. Genomic instability. When that happens, instead of getting just a few DNA mutations when the cell replicates, I get a bunch. Now, as that cell replicates, everything that's in that DNA is copied to the next cell. But sometimes the process by which a cell replicates gets disrupted, becomes unstable. When that happens, we don't fix the DNA mutations as they occur. Our cells are pretty smart. Something in there is not working right, it's going to go in there and fix it. And normally there's a few, but they get bombarded all the time, and our cells are constantly in that fix mode. But at that instant of creation, we'd like to have this cell look at that cell exactly the same, because now we're transferring exactness. But if I'm now have a mutation that occurred that didn't get fixed, the next time that cell replicates, that mutation is going to be part of that next cell down the road. And it's a major portion of premature aging when I have this genomic instability. Very, very common in cancer. Again, genes are increasing the number of mutations. The cells are increasing the number of mutations as things occur. Genetic diseases, chemical agents, biological, we're talking infections, viral, those kinds of things, radiation. A lot of things can affect our genomic stability. So as I'm looking at what am I eating, what am I doing, my environment, those all affect that. Now, in cancer development, most of the literature says it's a genetic disease. However, there is a major portion of research, which I tend to agree with it, was really classifying it more as a mitochondrial disease. And the biggest thing that I see, and I've mentioned this many times, is that if you're treating it as a genetic disorder, say type 4 pancreatic cancer, the 5-year survival rate's about 4%. But you can't treat it as a mitochondrial disease in the United States. You have to go to Cairo or Istanbul or somewhere else in the world. And people who advocate mitochondrial dysfunction as a cancer creator and developer and maintainer, you treat the mitochondrial portion of that, and they have a 95, 96% survival rate for type 4 pancreatic cancer. A lot of issues there with the mitochondrial, which we'll be talking about. But if we're treating it as a genetic disorder, this genomic instability would be one of those ones that would be worth looking at. Senescence, basically it means aging. And when we look at cellular senescence, we have cells that it gets to a certain age. Okay, thank you very much. You've done your job. Bye. And the cell disappears. It kills itself. It's called apoptosis. But the cellular senescence can become a problem when you have a normal cell hasn't reached its expiration date and begins to exhibit issues of aging. And this is one of the primary reasons why cancer can develop so quickly, is the fact in a tumor, there's a lot of things in the tumor, but one of the things that happens is that these cells grow wild because of the way the tumor is treating them. So if I'm looking at aging and cancer, one of the causes of both is cellular senescence. Now, the cellular senescence causes DNA damage, also causes increased rate of telomere shortening. It's found in a lot of age-related diseases because we're opening that door earlier. Oxidative stress. this is one step beyond simple inflammation. If I have chronic low-level cellular inflammation, that's the genesis of just about every disease. But if I don't take care of that inflammation from free radicals and other things that cause it, by eating the right kinds of foods and maintaining, stress management and exercise and whatever, then I open the door to oxidative stress, which is a higher level of inflammation doing more damage. So I end up with a case now where things are really starting to rust pretty badly because of that oxidation. Hormonal imbalance, chronic inflammation. If you have an inflammation literally that's more than a couple weeks long, you really need to see your doctor, because our bodies are generally made to fix up those things generally within a week, 10 days, 2 weeks at most. But if you're carrying something for longer than that, go see your doctor. Some medications, particularly those medications used with chemotherapy, can cause cellular senescence. A lot of problems there. Radiation. I call here mitochondrial dysfunction, and I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about that one down the road. But fortunately, there's a field called senolytics, that there are a number of different molecules, supplements that can go in and attack cells that are in that process of becoming senescent. Quercetin, Chinese ginseng, physin, those are three of the primary ones. There's some other ones out there. And some of these things are actually used in cancer treatment because of the fact that the cancer drugs that are being used cause cellular senescence, and you can use some of these supplements to help abate that increased level of production of them. Okay, let's move on. Autophagy, one of my favorite topics. When you stress cells, you're forcing them to repurpose their components. Now, that may not sound like much, but how do you stress a cell? Don't eat. So autophagy is the process by which the body goes in, repairs and recycles everything in a cell. I think of a cell, and over time, it's got a little bit of garbage, a little bit of stuff wears out, but nothing's there. Everything stays in the cell. Pretty soon that cell just kind of fills up, and the cell is just not performing the way it's supposed to. You're not getting the energy out of it. You're not getting the functionality of that cell. And autophagy is the body's way of taking care of that. I use an analogy of a trash truck driving through your blood vessels, and it stops at every cell in your pancreas, in your liver, in your lungs, everywhere in your body, and knocks on the door of the cell and says, "You got anything to throw away?" And here comes all the trash. "Okay, you got anything to recycle?" Okay, they send the stuff out. The trash truck has a recycling function. It takes what it needs to recycle and gives it back to the cell. Now you look at the cell, clean floor, everything's working fine, boom, you're fine. So if I'm looking at the thing that Dr. Walter Longo talked about, 72-hour fast, I have a fairly clean system in my body. Well, somewhere around 16 to 18 hours, autophagy begins, but it's at 1%. It's just beginning. It takes up to 72 hours to actually get to 100%. So if I'm doing a 24-hour fast, once a week, once a month, I'm getting into autophagy. I'm getting some level of cellular repair and recycling, but I can get more. Now, some people can't fast that long for a variety of reasons. Typically, for the last quite a few years, since well before COVID, I was doing a 72 to 150 to 200-hour fast per month, and enjoying it, literally enjoying it. I came down with shingles first part of June, and my body has been a totally different wreck. My mind is not there, but if I set my mind up to, okay, 3 days from now, I'm going to do a 72-hour fast, that mental process helps me get started and continue. But the fasting, the longer you fast, the better your body becomes. Now, what's the longest fast on record? Well over a year, 386 days or something like that. But it was a supervised fast in England. And the guy was 400 pounds overweight or something. But anyway, yes, we can all afford a day or two. Some of us can afford longer than that. But it's something that really and truly does help the body and extend our longevity. But whether it's intermittent fasting, 15, 18 hours a day, one meal a day, OMAD, or an extended, 24, 48, 72 hour. But once we start getting ketones in our bodies, that's when that process starts to happen, that autophagy is prevalent. Another cause of aging, deregulated nutrient sensing. I have a strange way of saying, but our body sends out these little sensors. And okay, I'm low on vitamin B12. I'm low on magnesium. I'm low on potassium. And if I'm not getting the right level of sensing so my body can adjust and make the energy that it needs, now I start having problems. So the deregulated nutrient sensing, of which insulin resistance is a perfect example. Over time, our insulin just works fine. All of a sudden, it's just not working the same way. It's a nutrient sensing that is just not functioning right. And unfortunately, this nutrient sensing is a hallmark of aging. Typically, we have phases our cells go through and our bodies go through of growth and conservation. And when everything is working fine, we grow when we need to grow, we conserve when we need to, and a lot of things are going on. So if I'm looking at this NSN, nutrient sensing network, it includes autophagy, naturally, the mRNA function, that's where we pass things on from one cell to the next. And that's how that mRNA vaccine got started with COVID, thinking that, hey, if I can do this with mRNA, why not make a vaccine and boom. Well, maybe not. Anyway, protein synthesis is something that we need, regulating our metabolism, the mitochondrial function. A lot of those things are part of this nutrient sensing function of our body. mTOR, IGF-1, AMPK, SRT, those are all functions that want to cause us to age. And if our nutrient sensing is working properly, I don't have to worry about them adding to the equation. Stem cell dysfunction. Okay, we make stem cells. We have a bunch of them in our body. If I need a new brain cell, boom, body takes care of it. I need a new heart cell, body takes care of it. I need a new liver cell, body takes care of it. It sends a stem cell there. Stem cells, okay, I will replicate that particular cell that's needed. That other cell dies, boom, everything goes. That's our normal process. And they have what's called regenerative medicine, where stem cell therapy is what is used to heal the body. But basically, this regenerative medicine is used to help the body repair itself. It's what happens when we have injury, disease, and a few other things. So if I'm looking at stem cell function, if I'm 45 years of age, well, I'm doing pretty well. 25, I'm doing exceptionally well. 65, maybe not so much. 85, really not so much. So it sort of depends on the age. So age affects the stem cell function, the production of stem cells, and everything. Now, just as fasting increased human growth hormone and helped other aspects of our aging process, autophagy, eating activates stem cells, but it has to be an anti-inflammatory diet. Just having fried chicken and French fries is not going to do it. Hippocrates says, food is thy medicine. Actually, it's longer than that, but that's my version. And if I'm looking at the same things in almost my original slide, I'm talking about lifestyle, stress management, selecting the right kinds of foods, the calorie restriction, sleep, all of those things, exercise, all of those things enter into the equation. Mitochondrial dysfunction. Now we're at and this happens maybe 1 in 5,000. This is not something that is prevalent, but it is something that can cause aging. And in this particular case, there's a lot of issues that can help, but when you start having mitochondrial issues, it can lead to cell damage, disease, and many, because every cell in our body has mitochondrial. So when mitochondria has a problem in our brain, in our liver, in our heart, in our gut, wherever that organ is at, you have potential problems. Unfortunately, it's genetic. There's no cure for it. There's no prevention. Some therapies help a little bit, but as anything looking at aging or age-related diseases, mitochondrial dysfunction is literally way up there at the top of the list. But again, it's a genetic, and it's 1 in 5,000 or more. But some lifestyle actions, obesity, no exercise, no stress management can actually increase the level of dysfunction. If you go just on the other side, the right eating, the right kind of stress management, that promotes mitochondrial health in normal people. Chronic inflammation, and we're right on time. I left this one particularly because chronic inflammation is the basis of all this DNA mutation. Also, the same thing for cancer. So, I have free radicals coming in attacking my DNA all the time. I mean, 24/7. I'm eating the right kind of foods. I have uh, things that will antioxidants that will come in there, take care of the free radicals, reduce the inflammation, reduce the oxidative stress, and those things work. But we don't always eat healthy. That's why I say an anti-inflammatory diet. Uh, but this chronic inflammation also accelerates the senescence process of immune cells, particularly. So now, as I get older, my immune cells are getting older than my body, and I have a problem because my immune system is not protecting me. Age-related diseases happen, etc. To reduce inflammation, again, all the positive lifestyle things that we talked about. And it's probably more of the more controllable functions than the other ones. So, and wrapping up everything, I'm at red.olaughlin.com, red.olaughlin@gmail.com, and red@red.olaughlin.com. Longevity, Secret for Healthy Aging covers several of the topics I covered here today. So with that, we'll continue this discussion next week, and you all have a great time, and look forward to seeing you next Thursday afternoon. Take
Five
care.
little known secrets for dementia caregivers with Tracy Cram Perkins.
Hi there. I am Tracy Cram Perkins, the host of the Dementia Home Care Show here on USA Global TV and Radio. I am also the author of the book of the same name. And you'll see this QR code. This is for an extended version of the same talk. So if you want to see the full hour-long version, feel free to scan the code and go to that website. Stick with me. We'll talk about 5 little known secrets to make it a little easier to do dementia caregiving. What you're seeing on the left-hand side is a healthy aged brain, age 55 and above. The one you're seeing on the right is an Alzheimer's disease brain. It is in moderate disease. It is shrinking. It has holes in it. The memories that were in those holes no longer exist. When you're learning something, let's say in kindergarten, you learned how to tie your shoelace. Well, then by the time you're in second grade, your brain remembers that information from tying the shoelace and applies it so you can learn more quickly how to tie more complex knots. So the brain is hardwired to do this for us. So it helps us learn faster so it doesn't take us long to acquire knowledge. The brain is looking for the information and they pick the closest to wherever that hole is. Let's look at some tips that we can use to help do that.
These are 5 simple tools you can use as a dementia caregiver to help your loved one. The whiteboard is a useful tool in recording the day's activities and the answers to repetitive questions. The calendar clock is a very useful tool to orient your loved one on the day, the date, and the time, and remind them of upcoming appointments. The communication cards are a great tool to bridge the gap when they can no longer tell you what's wrong. And then there's the pill minder for when your loved one is still able to take pills but needs prompting. The final tool I want to share with you is the memory book. It tells your loved one's story. It's a great tool for distraction, redirection, also as a conversation starter, and telling you where they are in their story so you know how to answer their questions.
Music is probably the most powerful tool in your toolbox after laughter. Music is a way to maintain connection. It sticks with your brain longer than any other thing, including reading. When you're having an issue with somebody, you can play their favorite music if you move them to another room, something that makes them happy, or you can start singing songs together from their childhood. These are some of my favorite books for caregivers. My show airs on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, and you can view past episodes on YouTube. Thank you, everyone.
This program has been brought to you in part by Tracy Cram Perkins. Connect with her and order her book at tracycramperkins.com. For more information about Alzheimer's disease, support resources, and how you can help, contact the Alzheimer's Association at 1-800-272-3333 3900 or visit their website at www.alz.org. They offer 24/7 helpline support and a wealth of information to assist you and your loved ones. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the Secrets of Visual Impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.